Another day today that unfortunately means another 2-game slate in the NBA Cup. We're going to do the work as we always do here with me coming off a first place win yesterday. So, that means we're going to hit really big again today, I'm sure. And the work begins as it always does here as we compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic, a key part of my process. We're going to see who the top plays are, who the top value plays are. We'll go game by game as well. Check out Stokastic's very helpful ownership, a key part of what allowed me to finish first place yesterday. We'll see where the leverage is, where the highest owned plays are. We'll also run a sim, assuming that StreamYard doesn't crash again, and I'll even do a single lineup build. And by the end of this video, guys, we're going to know all the industry's must plays along with my splash plays for the December 10th NBA slate. Let's get into it. And yes, I will just quickly tout myself, though we got the chat doing it for me. DeWitt saying nice finish yesterday. I appreciate that. My lineup must not have had Scotty Barnes. That's true. But yes, a first place finish yesterday, which, to be totally dead straight about it and as humble as can possibly be about it. Great to get the win. Great for me to get a first place. Technically my 13th, I saw in Roto Grinders, my 13th first place ever. So that's pretty cool in large field tournaments. Besides that, though, I tied with 14 other people. So I did make sure to put that in the tweet, which does mute, the value of the tweet a little bit. But a 15-way tie for first place on yesterday's Sue Gamer, which I was able to take down one of the shares in the 4-point play. Less dupes, coincidentally, in the 150 max. There was only 4 people duping there. They ended up splitting 20K or something like that, maybe even 5 people. But either way, though, it was nice to get the win yesterday. Of course, the work continues on here. We're just going to reinvest it back. And this amount of money, always nice to win. But it's really, to me, it's just, this is like a week of bad run across, so I try to keep it all in perspective. And I also tied with people yesterday. There were Stokastic avatars. There were Run Pure avatars. There were Ship It avatars. I think the guy Dean from Roto Grinders, he also was one of the people tying. So it was not like a special lineup by any way. But sometimes just nice to win and feels good here, even though I would have rather that gotten into the main tournament. Because I know people are going to ask as well. I didn't attribute anybody for that because I'm using my projections. I also didn't want to put on Twitter that I used Stokastic ownership on SaberSim, who I mentioned on stream a couple times I've been playing with. One of the issues I've had with my process, and again, this is me being as threadbare as I usually am and try to be here for the sake of hopefully giving you guys some insights. I feel like my projections have been playing well. That said, using the solver optimizer for just my projections, I haven't been super happy with the lineups. This feels sometimes a little bit too exposed to the guys I'm above market on, and I kind of want to get that tempered where I have guys above the field that stand out in my projections, but I'm still building smart lineups around that. You're taking on more chalk around that. Just a pure optimizer, it's hard for me to manage that, especially when I'm doing shows, when I'm being a dad, whatever I'm doing during the time that you're usually building NBA lineups. Stokastic, I love their sim as well, and I think a lot of people have had a ton of results there, so I think you'd be in the best hands using that one relative price. For that one, you're building off a field lineup. So if you build projections like I do, you're just overlaying your projections on top of existing lineups that Stokastic thinks are good lineups. And that can work well. But for me, that'd be frustrating on some days where it's like, oh, cool, I have this play, that's like a 1% owned play. And he stands out in my data and I want to get more. And I just don't get him on a Stokastic sim. So that sim product doesn't really work for what I want to do either. With SaberSim, I'm able to build a field of lineups using Stokastic ownership. So you build 5,000 field lineups basically that represent whatever you're playing in. And I'm having then my own 5,000 projection-based lineups built on top of that. And SaberSim also has a really nice portfolio tool, which is one of the areas, candidly, I struggle with the most. You can see here, the sim ownership that I get based off of just pulling the top 150 on Stokastic. It's pretty aggressive numbers on guys like Austin Reeves. And I'll still get above the field using SaberSim, but I'm not getting crazily above the field. So it has been an evolution of my process. It is one of those things where I still want to make sure I'm giving you adequate flowers to a site like Stokastic, because if you're not building your own projections, I really don't know that there's a reason to not use just the product that has some of the best tools that are kind of ready to go. But for me, the fun of this is building things off my own data, using my own hands, I'll say, even though this is the least manly using your hands kind of job. But that's the joy I get out of gambling. And that's why too, when people are like, oh, why are you so above market on this? It's because that's the fun of this. It's I make something and I get the output out of it. So that's me taking you through everything. Literally, that's the entire process there. I also had a little bit of correlation on the SaberSim build. But really, I used all the tools that, including one I guess I don't show you here on screen because I've been playing with it for 4 days, but had to give a shout out to SaberSim. Did win with my data data on SaberSim after literally 3 NBA slates, I think 4 NBA slates. I'd finished top 10 a couple weeks ago. That was using Stokastic and the solver together. But that's what my process is. And as always here, even when, like I want you guys to sign up for Stokastic, it makes me money. And I do think that's the safest way for you guys to get high upside lineups. When my process evolves, I do try to tell you guys that stuff as much as I can here. So that's how it goes. But anyway, appreciate all you guys being here as always. And let's get into the nuts and bolts of things here, because that's 5 minutes of self-bloviating here that I'm sure we don't need for the sake of viewership. But I do want to talk about that. And thank you for Steven here. It's why I like watching you and Josh for things you each build and how you get there. Great stuff. I appreciate that. All right, we got Luka Doncic here. So top projected player. This is another interesting projection thing today, where I think what Stokastic is doing is keeping Luka Doncic as he is this rates on the year, where he's putting up, I think, a 35% usage rate. Let me pull up the exact numbers here. Yeah, on the year, Luka's got a 38% usage rate. It's a little bit higher than I thought. A 42% assist rate overall, putting up 1.66 fantasy points per minute. Does not seem like they are docking usage at all for Luka, given the fact that LeBron is back in the lineup. And some of those rates for Luka for Austin Reeves, they're reflecting a time period, as we've talked about a few times on stream, where LeBron wasn't in. But LeBron being in this year has not meant very much. He's only producing 1.01 fantasy points per minute. His shooting has not been great at 53% at true shooting, so that's not under league average for sure. We're 58% and change is what league average is. For LeBron, you expect him to shoot a little bit better, but he's not shooting super well, so the usage is down. The assist rate's also down with how good Luka's been and how good Austin Reeves has been. One of the big things I think that would stand out when you go through the projections, if you build them, as I do using per 100 possession numbers, for LeBron, basically, if you give him last year's rates where he had, like about 28, 29% usage, had more assists, like he's going to look like about a 40 fantasy point player, but he'll also pull from Austin Reeves' projection. He'll also pull from Luka Doncic's projection. Or you can keep LeBron as he is and how he's played this year, a guy who's a 22% usage rate player, a 34% assist rate player, again, producing that 1.01 fantasy points minute. He's also rebounding a lot less too, which I think is part of the equation. If you take him as he is this year, you get LeBron at about a 32.6 projection, and Luka, stays at 60.5. So I think what Stokastic did is they kept Luka the same. They docked Reeves and gave his projection to LeBron. If you go with just how the year has been, Luka Doncic has played at an incredibly high level, and I think even no matter what, he should be mostly unaffected by LeBron. Even if LeBron gets back to like last year LeBron James form, he's probably the usage, and I think this is what Stokastic is assuming in their data, is that, you're not getting LeBron taken away from Luka at that point. You're getting him taken away from Austin Reeves and the secondary pieces on the Lakers. So Luka right now, Fields at 47. I'm at 45. I really don't want to be low on Luka here with the projection of 60.5 fantasy points. That puts him about 13 points clear of the next guy, SGA, who certainly should play close to his minutes ceiling at this point, given the fact we are in an NBA Cup game. And, Phoenix might have a tough time hanging in, whether Devin Booker is in or not. But I think you expect here with it being an NBA Cup game, it should be more competitive, and SGA should get the full amount of run. But with that in mind, I think Lakers, San Antonio, hard to imagine that being a blowout on either side. Luka, to me, seems guaranteed more minutes and more production when he's out there. So Luka, I think, is a clear favorite over SGA, but the ownership certainly reflects that. With about 2x the ownership for Luka Doncic at 47%, SGA's at 23%. Austin Reeves, $8,400 salary for him. He still looks good in my data. Again, I have him at a 44.4 projection. Stokastic has him at 38.3. As I mentioned, pretty sure that what they're doing is keeping Austin Reeves' rates down, a little bit more reflecting the longer-term sample size for him, while also giving LeBron that same courtesy in a year where he has not been the same guy. But the net result is if you don't tamp this down, you get as much as I do here of 81% Austin Reeves, Fields at 29. As for comparison, I'm getting 0% LeBron, Fields at 21. That doesn't feel like the best portfolio kind of approach to have for things for, two guys that theoretically have tournament winning upside on a 2-game slate. I think in a perfect world, I would like to get 10 to 15% LeBron and still like 50 to 60% Austin Reeves. That could feel about right to me. But I want to be up on Reeves. I am definitely over projecting him though relative to Stokastic. So as I always say here, even though I love my numbers, like playing, I like the process of building it, like I've mentioned, still think most people would be better off, deferring to Stokastic, who is a market leader and also really, pricing things close to the market for that reason. It does not reflect Austin Reeves nearly as good as I do. Let's see. C, being under on LeBron, not literally. Thank you for not literally. I'm sure LeBron's dying to fuck you, Steve. Thanks for that. Congrats on the big one. Thank you for that. Thanks for the kind chat, guys. I appreciate our chats, guys. I appreciate it a bunch here. And again, if you want to join along with the journey here, ultimately, I'm just going to keep showing you my process here. And I also am saving the biggest pats in the back for myself for I would like to get a 50K, 100K win this year in NBA. That's really my goal. Even I'm definitely not playing enough volume in those large field tournaments to justify it. But hopefully, we'll keep building the bankroll in the 4-point play. We'll keep attacking it. But the work continues on here Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. every day. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe. And I will keep doing the best I can to show you guys my work and explain the process that at least I'm doing on my end. And you can do whatever you want on your own. So LeBron, I feel like we've talked enough about. Again, it's not the same guy this year. Definitely due to shoot better, though. Right now, he's shooting. Overall, I mentioned 53% true shooting from three, shooting 33%. The free throws are really where he's been bad. Only 54.5% from free throw. For comparison, Luke is at 81%. Austin Reeves is at 87.4. So LeBron's not holding his weight in terms of getting to the line and completing free throws. That should get a little bit better, I would think. But, LeBron has had injuries, has had some issues with sciatica, stuff like that. So, I don't know enough about sciatica, but from what I know, nerve-related stuff, maybe a little bit of touch lost on his basketball shot. To me, just speculating at this point. But he hasn't looked himself. I've talked about it, been ahead of it when he's been chalk on slates. Today, he's not super chalky. I think maybe playing it to the upside more would not be a crazy thing to do. And if nothing else, he's just due to shoot better because he's not this far under league average as a shooter. Got to get to the rim a little bit more. Got to get some more shots to fall from the free throw line in particular, but also from three. That should bear out a little bit more as time goes on. De'Aaron Fox, 18% for the field. I'm getting 7%. As we talked about last slate for San Antonio, when you get Stephon Castle in, I'm really finding it hard to pay the De'Aaron Fox price tag. That said, for De'Aaron Fox, you still have no Wemby, so certainly the upside is there. And in a competitive game on paper against the Lakers, they are 7.5-point dogs, the Spurs in LA. Fox certainly can be one of the ways they keep that close heading into the fourth quarter. So really, 2-game slate, De'Aaron Fox in play always as a 4.3x value. Like we talked about, that 5x value metric is not perfect. The rule of thumb that used to be for NBA DFS, you want every play in your lineup ideally to be a 5x value. You want to have guys that have tournament upside. That could be a 4.5x guy. That could be a 4.8x guy. We're getting a little bit low at 4.3x value on De'Aaron Fox at 9K. So getting Castle being in really impedes him for me. But I think Fox, certainly if the ball just stays in his hands more, things will work better. Jalen Williams here at small forward, 39% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 29. Projection of about 38 and change. Again, not a great value. As much like yesterday, as another slate where you don't have a lot of guys priced super enthusiastically here. And Jalen Williams is one of those guys. Just real fast, pull up the popcorn machine for OKC, because I do not know where Jalen Williams' minutes were last time. Last game for Jalen Williams, he played 25 minutes in a blowout against Utah. In the first half, he played 5, 7, 13, 17. So he could theoretically play about 34 in a competitive game, 33, 34, let's say. So he's back up to full conditioning at that point then. And you had Jalen Williams with a Y starting last game as well. He played 24 minutes, could have played more in a non-blowout. Really for Jalen Williams, the traditionally spelled one, Jalen. I think that the ownership is fair at 39%. That said, really feels like to me the Austin Reeves part is taking me away from that being there. But I think flattening this out a little bit more, getting to slightly more Jalen Williams at 8K doesn't look bad. Again, 30-minute projection for him. He might get to 34 if the Suns hang in this game. I think this all looks decent in this spot. Stephon Castle, he is a big stand for me here, largely because I'm at a 35.8 projection. Stokastic has him at 29. As a result, Fields at 13%. I am getting 35. Stephon Castle on the year with Wemby off the court, and this is also including a good amount of court time without De'Aaron Fox. But Castle's put up a 31.6% usage rate, 38% assist rate, 1.26 fantasy points a minute. For comparison, Fox has been at 32% usage, 32.4% assist rate, 1.3 fantasy points a minute. These two guys have really been your primary fantasy scorers for the Spurs, without Wemby out there. So I'm willing to keep riding with Castle here. Minutes definitely seem a little bit limited here. Pull up the popcorn machine real fast. But only played 23 last game, including some short stints that were not foul trouble related or anything. You only had 2 fouls in the first half. So Stephon Castle, 23 minutes last game. Did not close. Maybe a little bit aggressive of a minutes projection by Stokastic to give him 27 today. It does assume that he would have to close and get his minutes limit increased. But I think Castle projects well enough for me here. He's played well per minute. To me, he's kind of like Banchero yesterday, where you want, and I guess OG Anunoby to a lesser extent. You just want to play these guys enough, hope the minutes end up on the higher end than the lower end. But, certainly like Banchero, you do expect the minutes to not be quite as good as they would be if he had been healthy and full go. Do I see Luke as a priority over SGA? Yes, and I think I said as much. He's 13 points projected higher, so for me, yeah, but certainly for a large field tournament, the ownership is also double for Luka, so keep that in mind. Let's see. We got Devin Booker here, 11% for the field. I'm at 1. Not really coming up for me at 9,100. He really just has not been as ball dominant as you would think this year. He's a Q tag right now, so much like yesterday, where quickly talked about if he didn't play, you'd want to get to Jamal Shed, who ended up being a must-have play on that slate. For Phoenix, it won't be quite the same, but Dylan Brooks will look a lot better. Colin Gillespie would look a lot better if Devin Booker is out. Jordan Goodwin will look playable. Right now, I would say he's not. Grayson Allen will look a lot better as well. Really the entire Suns operation, because Booker is still, despite not asserting himself, I think as much as he should, still a 30% usage rate guy, 30% assist rate, averaging 1.16 fantasy points per minute. So that being out of the rotation is going to make it look a lot better. The bad news, though, is if Booker is out, you then have OKC guarding these guys more seriously, and for Dylan Brooks, who loves to chuck, I mean, it could be really bad. For Gillespie, like, he's just not in that tier. Grayson Allen, I think can be competitive, but he's not. Like, they could just get destroyed here. So Booker, key thing to know right now, but if he plays, 11% ownership, and I'm not really getting there in the projection, also looks awful. Chet Holmgren, 29% ownership for the field. I'm getting 25. I think that for Chet Holmgren here, the fact that you don't have Hartenstein, as Steven's talking about here, and we could quickly look up the numbers without Hartenstein. For what it's worth, I usually don't change minutes for a center like Hartenstein being out, because I think the stats just kind of flow where they're supposed to naturally. And with Jalen Williams with a Y being in, he'll just kind of naturally take some production away. That would be close enough to what Hartenstein, I think, would do. But we'll pull up the Wowie real fast for the people that would like to see. So Thunder here, just this year, with Hartenstein off. Obviously, a lot of this year does include no Jalen Williams as well, so might be somewhat inflated numbers for a few people here. You got SGA, 1.5 fantasy points a minute and about 940 possessions, so he's playing roughly the same. Jalen Williams, 1.3 fantasy points a minute with no Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, I guess for Hartenstein, you could do that, or for Chet, you could do that, but I don't see the point usually of putting players on court. You just cut the sample size, and it doesn't really tell you anything new. But anyway, for Chet Holmgren, 1.25 fantasy points a minute. Jalen Williams, the Y, averaging 0.9 fantasy points a minute overall, which is a lot of court time off the bench as well, / garbage time. So you might be a little bit lower, naturally. But really, nobody stands out that much here besides SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and then the other Jalen Williams you'll get as a value theoretically. But no real big winners from Hartenstein being out besides the guys who should be your top usage players, top projected guys anyway. But Holmgren looks good enough here, just not really getting there with the projection. I might try to tweak the rates a little bit after the show. Dylan Brooks coming up for me at 46%, Fields 24. Brooks has been more downside lately than upside. Unfortunately, he is still getting a good amount of shots up. The usage for him is holding steady at about 30% on the year. Certainly with Devin Booker out, it's been closer to 35%. So for Dylan Brooks, I'm willing to be here again. Really do think, though, the Suns, I mean, all these guys might get destroyed. Like, we have seen some teams that I would say I didn't expect to hang in with the Thunder, Trailblazers being one, that have hung in there with them. And, Trailblazers beat them once this year too. But for the Suns, I don't see it. Like, I really don't think they have the talent with, if Booker's in, that draws enough attention away where maybe these guys can play well enough off of that. If Booker's out and you're going to get like the full pressure of the defense on Dylan Brooks, on Colin Gillespie, on Grayson Allen, I don't see how that works. But for Dylan Brooks, I'm willing to be there. It's a 2-game slate. We've got to take our shots based on the projections. Grayson Allen also looking like a 4.4x value. Really seems like on the projection, if you get Booker out, these guys will look like good plays. As it is, they look like plays you're getting some of because you just have to play guys on the slate, and there really aren't great priced guys on the slate. We're going to sort by value here. And before I do that, guys, I will ask you to please hit that like button. Please subscribe. It goes a long way for me here. And I have been a little bit less diligent lately, and I want to make sure to stay on top of it because you guys hitting that like button goes a long way for me. It shows me to more people or shows my video to more people. And that's been working out well for this channel. Honestly, I've helped people win some money. Obviously, I've done well for myself this year as well, at least within a 1 day sample size. But no, it's been a good year for me, and I feel really good about the process here on stream. So hopefully it adds value to what you're doing. And again, feel free. It's your money. Gamble how you want. If you want to fade everything I'm saying because you think I'm some snake oil salesman, knock yourself out. But ultimately, I'm here doing the work Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. and you can see the work for yourself here every day. And you can check it out. Do make sure to also check out Stokastic, 15% off link down below. Big way I'm able to support myself doing what I'm doing here is not from gambling. It's from being competent enough at creating content. And also you guys checking out Stokastic. Again, really life-changing tools potentially on there for the NBA, for the NFL as well. And you get all of it for 15% off with that promo code SPLASH. So click the link down in the description if you want to see the Cheesecake Factory menu. I always want to say Chinese food menu, but that feels racist even though I am technically part Chinese. I've learned in recent years. That's not a joke. But like, I don't know. Let's say Cheesecake Factory menu of all their options. Link down below. Click that. Check it out. And last but not least, join the Discord here. $5 to join. You could also get my projections if you join the Squirt Squad tiers. And, you know, look, put them in SaberSim, I guess. Pay for Stokastic with promo code SPLASH. Go to SaberSim. I have no promo code there, so you know I'm completely unbiased. And check them both out, and maybe we'll run the same lineups together. And thanks again for the kind words, guys. I appreciate it. Spags has been my best year of NBA DFS. Thank you, Parker. I mean, Parker's gives some sharp takes too, and sometimes says the right play in an either or without even like he's asking about in the Discord, I think yesterday, and had it right. So I appreciate that, Parker. But you're doing great for yourself too. Best Asian DFS broadcast in the biz. That's true. I don't think there's any competition at all, unless somebody's hiding it. Like I did it inadvertently for the first 40 years of my life. Austin Reeves, 81% ownership in the top 150. Fields at 29%. Sync your YouTube to your Discord. There are instructions here. If not, Google it. Should be really easy. You just have to have your YouTube account added to the Discord. It's not, I can't help you more than that, but check out the YouTube community tab. You can hopefully figure it out. So we got Austin Reeves here, top value. Again, we've talked enough about him. I really think the big thing is if you like LeBron, Austin Reeves' projection here is too high. If you think LeBron's going to be the same kind of lesser player this year, then you probably should play more Austin Reeves like I am. Luke Cornett, technically a value at 4,800. A guy here who they clearly do not want to play other centers. The minutes for Biyombo, for Kelly Olynyk were not that great overall, not that reliable. But Luke Cornett, the last game he played, played 25.6 minutes. So for Luke Cornett, a guy here playing reasonable minutes, certainly has the upside to add, peripherals in terms of blocks and all that. Usage, not so much, but this is a slate where you don't have a ton of value. So Cornett is one of those guys you will have come up. I'm getting 71% of my top 150 right now. Fields at 40. Luka Doncic, 47% exposure. I'm at 45. Again, looks like a top value despite being the most expensive guy on the slate. As you can see here, there's only 4 people on the slate projected to be a 5x or better value. So you really, in my opinion, you're just going to get a lot of these guys, and that's going to be the chalk, and it probably should be. And Dylan Harper here, 39% exposure for the field. I'm at 58. Harper's been a guy I have played off the bench recently. The minutes for him, certainly a little bit less reliable, given the fact that you do have Stephon Castle back in. But last game, we saw, sorry to keep going back to the same popcorn machine, but it's relevant. We got Dylan Harper here off the bench playing 26 minutes. Stephon Castle, he actually closed over him in this game that was competitive. So a little bit of a push-pull dynamic really directly, I guess, with Stephon Castle and with Dylan Harper. And the tough part for these guys as well, like they can't take minutes from De'Aaron Fox. They're going to have Fox out there no matter what. But it looks like Vassell lost minutes to Champagny last game too. But basically, you're not likely to get a Harper and Castle closing. So something to keep in mind that if you are getting these guys together in a lot of lineups, maybe you don't want to play them together. I don't think you will, but maybe you would. Harrison Barnes, I'm at 62%, Fields at 43. Again, not a very exciting player, but in this slate, we just don't have value. Kind of like we talked about yesterday for OG Anunoby, why I was getting into him in a lot of lineups. There weren't a lot of guys around 5,900 power forward. For Harrison Barnes, there aren't a lot of guys around 4,900 power forward. You're just going to kind of get him naturally because he's playing minutes. But certainly not an exciting play, even though he has hit 50 fantasy points without Wemby in, though that was in the days where Castle was also out, I believe. Jalen Williams, we talked about already. The primary one for OKC, 39% ownership. Again, looks like a decent play and a decent value technically. Stephon Castle looks like a good value to me. Stokastic would be much lower. I don't think you'd get him at all, really. And Stokastic data, for me, though, he's coming up in 33% of my lineups, a little bit more than that. Dylan Brooks, we talked about. Mark Williams, we haven't. I've been getting a lot of Mark Williams this year. I don't know why. Last year, I got him all the time for the Hornets. This year, not so much. Match versus the Thunder. I feel like the best guys against the Thunder who have success, and this is just totally anecdotal, just me kind of going off the top of my head, more than Naz Reid type stretch fives a little bit more, who can play inside and outside. Mark Williams, I think he had his first career 3 the other day, but certainly not a stretch 5 by any means at all. So he's just a player on the slate. I think really I have no meaningful lean on him. My projection's about 0.8 fantasy points lower than Stokastic's, but as it is, I'm getting him above the field at 35%, and the field's at 31. DeAndre Ayton, 37% for the field. I'm at 24. We've got Austin Reeves. We've got Luka. We've got LeBron in. Don't think that's the time to play DeAndre Ayton, but it's a 2-game slate. We don't have a lot of center options, so he's going to come in here. But a little bit much for the field. I think I'd rather have Mark Williams, and I think I'd rather just roll the dice with Cornette as a value with Ayton not being that well projected. And SGA, again, another top value here technically, despite being your second most expensive guy in the slate. That's just the pricing on the slate. Really no meaningful values right now. I don't think that'll change unless we get Devin Booker out. There really aren't any other Q tags hanging around. And nobody that should pop up as a late value like Jamal Shed yesterday. We're going to go to the game-by-game view real fast here, guys, because I feel like we've already talked about every player. Before I do that, one last ask, or no, I always say last. Definitely not the last ask, but one more ask here because it is important for me. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Again, ultimately, I'm just one guy showing you my gambling every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. here for the NBA, Mondays and Thursdays, and Fridays for the NFL slates as well. But join along for the journey here. It's hopefully a good time. Hopefully add some value. And again, I encourage you guys, please do whatever you want on a slate. Don't tail everything. Even for me yesterday, like I was playing a ton of Anthony Black, ton of Scotty Barnes. What one was a lineup without either guy. That's just the way NBA works. So keep that in mind in your process. I know some guy left me a comment yesterday too. Well, out of all days to do it. And he was like, I've watched splash plays for a few days and I haven't won once. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay, so actually, I think I haven't won a tournament once. I'm like, is this a troll account again? Because yesterday was like troll chat day for sure. And I was like, you fucking kidding me? I can't guarantee you're going to win a tournament watching the show. In fact, I can't guarantee you're going to win a tournament if you had the results. Like, I don't know. Like, that's some people just don't put in good lineups. But ultimately, you just got to keep doing the work here. That's what I do for myself. And hopefully it adds value to your process here as well, guys. And again, thank you guys for the kind chats along the way. I appreciate it a bunch. And again, Monday to Friday here, hit that like button, subscribe, join the Discord as well. And it should be easy for most people to figure it out. $5 to join here. Click the link in the description. It'll take you over there. If you check the community tab as well, there are more details about how to do it, but you just have to sync your YouTube to your Discord, click the link, and it'll add you automatically. All right. Phoenix, 105 implied points. OKC, 119.5 implied points. Devin Booker, Q tag on him. If he's in, he looks really unplayable, but certainly has theoretical upside that you want to get to. Booker, we need to know that one, and we'll know it because it's the first game on the slate. So that's good news as opposed to yesterday where you had to late swap. I don't think you're going to have to late swap today because you'll know Booker in advance. And that's going to be really the only news item I think that we need to know. Colin Gillespie, though, doesn't look playable to me if Booker's in. If Booker's out, he'll look better. Dylan Brooks, playable to me with Booker in, would look, unfortunately, way too good of a play. If Booker is out, he'll gain the most usage-wise. He also is the least good shooter out of the group now. As you can see, all these guys better than league average for the most part amongst the top guys. Dylan Brooks at 55%, and yet he is chucking just as much as Devin Booker on the year at a rounded up 30% usage rate. Devin Booker at a rounded down 30% usage rate. So Dylan Brooks, that's why I keep playing him. Really, the biggest thing that my data favors is guys just getting shots. And Dylan Brooks is getting shots. If Booker is out, though, holy shit, is he not going to hit him? Most likely. Unless they just totally disrespect him and like don't play hard defense on him, which maybe, Grayson Allen, maybe because he's such a bad shooter, they want him to shoot more. That's a possibility. I guess that's like your one shining light. That OKC may go, we got to stop Gillespie, we got to stop Grayson Allen, and we can't possibly stop Dylan Brooks because he'll just miss shots anyway. Maybe. We got who I think is going to score the most out of the players top. Whoever I have the highest projected is who I think is going to score the most. It's always the answer for any either or question, and that's how it should be. Grayson Allen here looks okay at his price tag, 6,400 shooting guard, 24% ownership for me, fields at 20. Again, not a great projection play, but he works well in lineups that allow you to get some of the pay up options. So For Grayson Allen, you put him some value, put him with Luka Doncic. I think that looks pretty decent. Mark Williams here, 35% ownership. For me, Fields at 31. Again, not really any sort of lean for me of Mark Williams on the year, but he's played pretty well at 1.2 fan sports minute. I'm at 1.04. Royce O'Neal, Fields at 17. Doesn't look like a great projection play, but he's at power forward. We do need power forwards desperately on the slate. Ryan Dunn coming up for the same reasons. Fields going to play him at 23%. I'm at 27. Jordan Goodwin, unplayable. If we do get, I don't have this number available for myself. I would have to create a new sort for it. So I don't know. Sorry, I don't have the answer for you. You'd have to go through manually here. I mean, you can see my points and PRAs here on the screen. And if you sign up for the Squirt Squad tier, the cheaper one, you get the same sheet here and see my PRAs. But I don't sort it myself because I have no reason to do that. But anyway, for Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, two guys here that don't project super well, but you just kind of need the price tags and positionality, and that's going to be the case a lot in these two-game NBA DFS slates. Oso Ighodaro, same thing as well. OKC, getting a lot of guys here, not projected super well, but we have to play some of them. Going against a Phoenix defense that is a little bit under league average. No, I'd say pretty close to flat at league average. But, not a good team for Phoenix. I would say for any Thunder player, there's a chance to hit a ceiling. Jalen Williams is going to be the chalkiest player. SGA seems like a much worse projection play than Luka Doncic, but he certainly can hit a massive number, especially if somehow Phoenix stays close. I feel like you might want to prioritize SGA more in lineups where you have like a bunch of Suns maybe. So that's one way to do that. But yeah, I think for SGA, like not getting him naturally projection-wise, I would favor Luka because I just think there are more outcomes where he hits the range that we need to get. But if Phoenix hangs in there, I think SGA, that's when he really hits the ceiling. Chet Holmgren, Fields at 29. I'm at 25. Again, not really big stands on the slate, really, besides some of the fades. Kason Wallace, Fields at 25%. Lou Dort, Fields at 34%. Alex Caruso at 29. You're just going to get smatterings of all these guys because literally none of them project well. There isn't even like a Jalen Suggs really where it's like, oh, here's this mid-tier guy that looks good. You just have a bunch of dudes that don't project well. So I think ownership wise, it's just going to be pretty evenly distributed. And unless you get the Suns guys out, then people will take the shot on the Suns, hope they can stay competitive. So that's just what this slate is. San Antonio, 118.5 or 116.5 implied points. Lakers 124. So again, Spurs here, decent dogs on the road here, but shouldn't be any reason to think there's a blowout unnecessarily. De'Aaron Fox, steep price tag, but 18% ownership feels like you don't want to be too low on that. Right now I am getting less than half of that in my top 150. Stephon Castle, I'm above the field on, hoping he plays the 27 minutes Stokastic has projected for him. That said, he didn't get to 24 last game, so him getting to 27 today, not a certainty, especially if Dylan Harper closes over him again. Devin Vassell, getting him at 9%, Fields at 18, so about half the exposure there. He's another guy that can have a ceiling. He also bombed miserably, I feel like, last slate, because I remember I had him in a few lineups that were just like, it was Vassell was the part killing it. Him bouncing back today, taking usage away from higher owned. Actually, no, they're not even higher owned. I guess really his big thing would be that he earns minutes, takes ownership. Takes minutes away from a guy who's going to have more ownership in Julian Champagnie. But Vassell really, it feels like the role is not there for him as much when you have Castle, Fox, and Harper all mixing back in. Champagnie is the lesser of the Champagnie bros. You're still getting him at shooting guard, small forward, 5K salary. So he's making 32% of the field lineups. Harrison Barnes, we talked about 4,900 power forward. It is very hard to find power forwards that project well here. He does project slightly better than Keldon Johnson, and he's cheaper. So I am getting a lot of Harrison Barnes here. 62% of my top 150 have him right now. Luke Cornett, going to probably play mid-20s minutes here as a center. Stokastic has about 27.6, which maybe is a little bit aggressive, but 25 to 28 feels about right. So Cornett here, 40% exposure for the field. I'm at 71. Harper above the field on as well. Really, one of your best bench scorers in this game is Dylan Harper. So, and he also just last game earned minutes away from Stephon Castle. So I think he is in play. He's in 58% of my lineups in the fields at 39. And last team here, we got the old Lakers. 124 implied points. Luka Doncic, I really don't want to be under the field on him. So no matter what, I'm going to try to keep his projection around 60. That said, if you give LeBron his old rates, some of that would come away from Luka. He would look like a less good play around like a 56, 57 point projection. LeBron, as it is, if you just use his rates from this year, he is a 32.6 projection in my data. Stokastic, using that longer term sample size, has him at 38. If I were to give him just last year's rates while still kind of playing as he has been, LeBron would probably be around a 39.5 projection, so not unplayable. I do think being flat zero on LeBron feels bad when the field's not going to be playing him, and he is due to shoot better. Like all the other Lakers, I would say, especially Austin Reeves, shooting unsustainably hot on paper. DeAndre Ayton, same thing. Hachimura, same thing. LeBron has to hit some more shots at some point, but, he's older. He's got nerve injuries. There's stuff here that certainly you can point to and go like, oh, well, that's why LeBron is playing poorly. But ultimately, I think based on the ownership on a 2-game slate, if you get old LeBron just one night, NBA Cup, bright lights on, he might win you the slate tonight. So I don't want to poo-poo LeBron. I don't want to be flat zero on LeBron. In a perfect world, I think getting 10 to 15% LeBron feels about right to me. But Reeves looks good to me. 81% Reeves is a lot, but he has been lights out this year. Again, shooting unsustainably well at 67% true shooting, but he's holding on to that usage, holding on to a good assist rate. He's been really good, and, you make the case the team is better with just Luka and Reeves not having to worry about LeBron. But now that points record is gone, maybe they can just, not have to force in the ball as much as sometimes the team has in recent games. DeAndre Ayton, chalky for the field, a little bit under for me, getting him at 24%, Fields at 37, and Hachimura, I'm at 21%, Fields 19. The rest of the Lakers not really getting enough minutes to want to play. You're talking about a slate with bad values. These guys are really bad values, so I don't see it for LaRavia, Smart, Hayes, Vincent, unless somebody unexpected were to get ruled out. That's a fair point. 3 days off for LeBron can't hurt, but, he also had a month and a half of ramp up. He has said, as part of his, his classic blame deflection, was that like he didn't have his usual, preseason ramp up, all that stuff. So, if you buy into that for him, he should get better. The hard part is like, can you justify LeBron taking possessions away from Luka and Reeves at this point when they are cooking as much as they are? I would say probably not, but we're going to build a lineup here with Stokastic data. You guys have seen what my data has for us, but we'll take a look here without my bias involved. So hit that like button and subscribe, guys. Again, just part of the journey here every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Doing the same process for every NBA slate. Whether it's 2 games, whether it's 20 games, there couldn't be 20 games. They'd have to expand really fast for there to be 20 games. Whether it's 15 games, there can be. I'm still here doing the work as best I can for you guys. And again, mostly showing you how I'm approaching a slate, as best I can as well. Here. So please show some love, hit that like button and subscribe. You guys have been doing a great job of that. So please just keep doing what you guys have been doing. And also check out Stokastic. All the stuff I show you here on screen, 15% off. Again, Stokastic ownership in particular was a key part of my process yesterday for finishing first place in that tournament. But they certainly are a key reference point. Also, really, I think for a lot of people out there, the most idiot-proof way to get good lineups on NBA DFS slates using Stokastic stuff. So check it out for yourself. All the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff, 15% off with that promo code SPLASH, or click the link in the description. And last but not least, join the Discord here. $5 to join on a supporter tier. If you want my data, the same sheets I show you here on screen, updated throughout the night with my projections. You can do that as well by joining down below one of the Squirt Squad tiers, and you will see different versions of the projections. All the screens I show you here. Let's see, chats real fast. What about Hayes? Not a play for me right now. And thank you to other Chris here for the kind chat. Hard work pays off. I hope so. I really feel like I've been knocking on the door lately, so it's nice to get some proof of concept here. But winning a solo one instead of a 15-person chop would be nice. But again, beggars, choosers. I'm a beggar right now, so I won't be as choosy. Your top ROI lineups, though, without my involvement here, just Stokastic data. We got Luka Doncic, Grayson Allen, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Luke Cornett, very Spurs-centric, Dylan Harper, Rui Hachimura, DeAndre Ayton. So we are playing Luka here. We are playing one Sun, and then just a bunch of Spurs and, Lakers, Spurs, and one Sun. Which is interesting because you're not getting any Thunder there. Number 2, AJ Mitchell, Dylan Harper. Hey, AJ Mitchell, glad to see him here. Alex Caruso, Harrison Barnes, Luke Cornett, Luka Doncic, Jalen Williams, DeAndre Ayton. For what it's worth, AJ Mitchell's not really a play in my data today either. Although I do have him still 3 fantasy points higher than Stokastic does. I guess 2.5 higher than they do. But AJ Mitchell coming in here does feel like if the game were a blowout, might be something where he has a little more chance to get there. And certainly if Booker is out, I think you're pretty likely to get a blowout here. Even if Booker is in, you still might. Luka Doncic, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Harrison Barnes, Oso Iguodala, Dylan Harper, Dylan Brooks, DeAndre Ayton. You know, for what it's worth, too, if Booker is out, the Suns are going to play as hard as they possibly can because for a lot of these guys, the 500K or whatever you win is meaningful money. So that actually might be something. Go a little Giants mode, play some more Suns, play some more Thunder with it. But it's interesting to note here, you know, you are getting a decent amount of Suns representation, it looks like, in these lineups. Number 4 here, you're getting Luka Doncic, Lou Dort again, Dylan Brooks again, Keldon Johnson, Luke Cornett, Grayson Allen, Harrison Barnes, DeAndre Ayton in this one. And Luka also in all of the top 4 so far. And at number 5, we got our first share of SGA. We got SGA with Kason Wallace, Jalen Williams, Harrison Barnes, Mark Williams, Dylan Harper, Julian Champagnie, DeAndre Ayton. Feels like for SGA and Jalen Williams to hit, they would have to score like an endless amount of points to the Suns, or the game would have to be competitive. But, you know, there's an SGA lineup. It's otherwise 4 out of the top 5 are Luka, which is, I think, how it should be, given the fact he's about 13 fantasy points higher. We got DeAndre Ayton here as your highest ROI player. Ignore the negative numbers. It's basically looking at every lineup across the entire set. So on a 2-game slate, there's going to be negative ROI lineups for every player at a good amount. But Ayton, your top ROI player directionally here. Luke Cornett at number 2. Lou Dort at number 3. So Luke and Lou coming in the top 2 and 3. Harrison Barnes at number 4. Dylan Harper at number 5. Champagnie, Mark Williams, Dylan Brooks, and Luka Doncic himself not that far behind. Overall highest exposure within Stokastic data, we've got DeAndre Ayton, 83% exposure, Fields at 41. Massive stand in favor of DeAndre Ayton here at 6,300. I don't really get why, but their projection on him at 32.9. That's a healthy one, so that's probably why. Luke Cornett, 70% exposure, Fields at 36. So I also support Luke Cornett here. Do you think that he will likely give you at least 20 fantasy points? And I think if he does that at 4,800, he still has a good shot at making a winning lineup. Luka Doncic, 64% exposure, Fields at 50. Again, I want to be at least with the field on Luka, and I think getting above the field here, that certainly seems like a good move. Harrison Barnes, 63% exposure in Stokastic's top 150. Fields at 42. Barnes at 4,900. They're just real fast here. We got Royce O'Neal, Keldon Johnson, both of whom project worse than Barnes, I believe. Then you have to either pay up for Chet Holmgren, play Wiggins, who's not getting enough minutes, Ryan Dunn, who's much lower. Barnes is going to naturally make a lot of lineups today. So if he doesn't hit, people will be playing a lot of Harrison Barnes just because he makes lineups work. But he also, you know, makes lineups work. So that's the duality of Harrison Barnes in a 2-game slate. And Dylan Harper here, 57% exposure, Fields at 49. Lou Dort, also pretty big stand on him. I think we'll see him when we sort by leverage. Jalen Williams at almost half the lineups as well. Highest leverage plays, the plays Stokastic wants you to get above the field on the most in their top 150. You got DeAndre Ayton, 42% more in the field. Not a surprise with what we saw. Same thing for Luke Cornett, 34% more in the field. Lou Dort, 22% more in the field. Harrison Barnes, 21% more. And Luka Doncic, 14% more. Biggest fades in Stokastic data. Oso Iguodala, barely getting played, only 2.7% exposure. That's a negative 15% leverage compared to the Fields ownership. LeBron James, negative 14% leverage. So they are fading him here. And I will say, like, we always talk about, you know, why Stokastic is so good as a provider usually. And really, you know, I would say most of the companies are doing a similar thing, but the longer term sample size, like that's what, you know, they believe in as gamblers, is referring to that more so. I tend to go as close to the bleeding edge as I can for, you know, stuff that's going on this year. LeBron being worse this year, something that has helped me a lot on slates lately with him and without him. But I'm surprised he's Stokastic just going like, yeah, let's get half the exposure on him. Because certainly if you defer to what LeBron has been long-term, it feels like he should hit at least 40 fantasy points, if not potentially, you know, 45, 50. Austin Reeves, so that's also interesting too. They're up on Luka, but fading LeBron and Reeves, but negative 12% leverage on Reeves. You're only playing him at 16% of the top 150. As you guys have seen, I'm getting an endless amount of Austin Reeves. So that is where my lineups would differ right now. And Jalen Williams, they get 11% leverage for him. Jalen Williams, the Y, the center version for OKC, who should start today. Stokastic fading him despite a $4,200 salary. Huh, okay. Chet Holmgren, negative 10% leverage as well. You know, your 5th highest fade. And AJ Mitchell, despite being in one of those top ROI lineups, he's also a pretty big fade, only 5% exposure in Stokastic data. The field's at 13. All right, well, let's do a single lineup sim here. Let me hand build it. We'll see what we get. I mean, it's a Shea playing a blowout, like 28, 29, something like that. Like what you're saying, Spags, because you have LeBron down some, and a guy like Reeves, who seems better this season, should be up more. Yes, I mean I don't see how you'd be down on both. Like I don't think it makes sense, at least based on how I know my stuff works. But again, Stokastic does things for a reason, usually within their data, and the results, I think generally speak for themselves. But always good to question things to some extent, as long as you have a reason and a process for why you're asking those questions. We're doing the single line of sim here, guys. Again, one last ask, and I say last, knowing that I'll at least do one more. Hit the like button, subscribe. Again, really important for me here, and really for any YouTube creator you like. If you hit the like button for them, it shows the video to more people like you in the algorithm. It's a really important things, and as the industry gets consolidated, pretty soon it's going to be like YouTube, TikTok, and Netflix. The only things people watch on the internet. Help me get ahead of that by hitting that like button and subscribing here. And again, Stokastic, all stuff I'm showing you here on screen, 15% off. You click that link down below, or use the promo code SPLASH, and it does support the show. Half the money you pay to Stokastic comes back to me, and I'm not winning enough 4-point plays, and I'm too proud to not beg for that. So please do use the tools that help you get better. The Suns win. I'm buying a new house. You making big bets on the Suns tonight or for the Cup? Because certainly you'd get plus EV for both at this point. All right. Actually, you might not get plus EV, but you get big returns if it were to hit. All right, top plays here for me. I'm going to put in Luka first. Really just too obvious of a play, I think, with that projection and knowing that the sim likes him. My data likes Austin Reeves, so let's see if we can make this work with Luka and Austin Reeves here. What would I do with small forward? I'm looking at one of my little projection matrices, I guess what I should say. For me, it would be Dylan Brooks here. I don't think Stokastic's going to agree, but Dylan Brooks, Stokastic has him at 28.4. I have him at 30.8, and that would look better, obviously, if Booker is out. Though, again, he really will see all the defensive attention then, potentially, and that would not be great. Harrison Barnes, not a fun click by any stretch, but he is a 4.9x value in a position where I have everybody else as being a 4.5 or less value, so I will go Harrison Barnes here at power forward. Center, I think for me, this is easy value at Luke Cornett. So 2 Spurs bigs in this lineup, 4,500 left per spot, with 3 spots left. I think in my data, it would be Dylan Harper up next at guard. He is one of the other rare few on this 2-game slate that I would have as a 5x value. Forward, 4,350 left per slot. I got to save some money here. Ryan Dunn is 4,200. Alex Caruso's 3,900. But I would have Dunn at 17 fantasy points, Caruso at 15. This is so fucking ugly. This is not good times. I think it's Ryan Dunn. Another guy here. I guess Ryan Dunn would benefit from the blowout a little bit, I think. Now 4,500 left for one more spot. Let's just show affordable players. Let's also make sure we got large field and 25% to first. Same settings we just had on the other sim. Goodwin, Laravia, Caruso. All right, so I've got Goodwin at, what is he? He's shooting guard, small forward. I've got Goodwin at 15.5, so I am lower than Stokastic. I've got Laravia at 13. I've got Caruso at 15.2. So I think it would be Goodwin for me here and the utility. What about Kason Wallace? Kason Wallace. Oh, Kason Wallace I have at 18.6. There's our winner. Oof. And I use that term loosely. Kason Wallace, utility, is the best play for me and this team. The team, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Dylan Brooks, Harrison Barnes, Luke Cornett, Dylan Harper, Ryan Dunn, Kason Wallace, 62% ROI. Okay. We're done. We've won the money again. Congrats, guys. Printing it here. But that's a slate. I'll give you guys my splash plays one more time, but you guys know the deal here. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button, subscribing. I've asked enough times at this point, but one more time for the guys joining late. Yeah, it is like being a radio DJ or an old school radio DJ because nobody listens to radio anymore. But when you guys tune in, I try to plug. So please help me out. Hit that like button, subscribe. It goes a long way for me here. And you guys know that at this point, hopefully, but really important on YouTube to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see content continue on and hopefully thrive in the sunlight. Check out Stokastic too. 15% off. Use the promo code SPLASH. Best deal they have going right now. They'll probably have a Christmas deal for NBA would be my guess. Maybe NFL too. But for right now, if you want to get stuff for NBA today, NFL this week, join down below. You get all the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff for 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. And last but not least, join the Discord. You want to support the channel directly, $5 to join the Discord. You also want my projections, my matchup screen, the stuff I show you here on stream every day. You get that for yourself as well by joining one of the Squirt Squad tiers down below. And of course, it does support the show and you get access and all that stuff. All right, splash plays for the day. Boys, you guys know there are not a lot of them. I mean, it's got to be my 4 guys that I have as a 5X or better. So Reeves, Cornette, Luka, Harper. I think, unfortunately, Harrison Barnes is a splash play, though he is the least splashy of the splash plays. Dylan Brooks, I would have as a splash play. I will be above the field on him if Booker is in, and if Booker is out, I am going to hate every moment of being above the field on him. And I just don't trust the 27-minute projection for Castle, but I think Castle at 7,500, there's upside there theoretically. Though I don't think it's a splash play, but I'll be above the field on him for sure. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys. Very important. Again, bankroll management, the most important part of the game here, this time of year, especially in the, but also the NFL NBA crossover. But it is still money time here on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel on YouTube at Splash Play Bets, on Twitter at Splash Play Pod. You can see my NFL and NBA videos flowing through there. And this is my only stream of the day, guys. So that's all my takes. Of course, data updates coming for the paying members. So keep an eye peeled there. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stokastic, I'll be on the strategy show in the morning for the showdown slate. Then I'll have this show, or actually then I'll have the NFL show at 12, this show at 2. So stay tuned for those things coming up tomorrow as well. But thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being a part of my journey here, of course, as I try to win money for myself too, as much as give you guys good info. And we're making strides. I think let's go on a run, right? Let's go on a run. For the love of God, let's go on a run. But I hope so for you guys as much as myself. See you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.